The stars themselves seemed to tremble as the Zephyrian Grand Armada dropped out of hyperspace. 10,000 warships materialized in perfect formation around the human colony of New Geneva. Each vessel gleamed with polished metal that caught the light of the system's twin suns. The smallest destroyer was twice the size of Earth's largest battleship. The flagship, Eternal Dominion, stretched for 20 miles and carried enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the enemy fleet appear on her screens. Her hands remained steady on the command console, but her heart raced. She had seen many battles in her 30 years of service, but nothing like this. The Defiance was alone. Just one human heavy cruiser against the most powerful fleet in galactic history. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the flagship," reported Lieutenant Kim from the communication station. Her voice shook slightly. The young officer had never faced real combat before. "Put it through," Chen ordered. She straightened her uniform and faced the main screen. The image that appeared made the bridge crew gasp. Emperor Vextar himself stood before them, his reptilian features twisted in what humans had learned was a smile. His scaled skin was deep purple, and his golden eyes held the cold intelligence of a predator. Ancient scars marked his face from battles fought across centuries of conquest. "Primitive mammals," the Emperor spoke in perfect English, his voice like grinding stone. "You have defied the Zephyrian Empire for the last time. Your species has refused our generous offer of taxation and service. Now you will learn why every civilization in this galaxy bows before us." Chen stepped forward. "Emperor Vextar, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Ship Defiance. You are in violation of human space. Withdraw your fleet immediately." The Emperor's laugh was like breaking glass. "One ship. You send one pathetic vessel to face the Grand Armada. Are all humans this foolish, or just their military?" "The colonists here are under Earth's protection," Chen replied firmly. "We will not abandon them." "Protection?" Vextar's eyes glowed brighter. "From what? Your kind has been in space for barely 2 centuries. We have ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. Our technology is beyond your understanding. Our warriors have conquered 1,000 worlds." Behind the Emperor, Chen could see the bridge of his massive flagship. Zephyrian officers moved with practiced efficiency. Their equipment hummed with energy that made the air itself glow. Everything about them spoke of advanced civilization and overwhelming power. "You have 1 hour to surrender," the Emperor continued. "Lower your shields, power down your weapons, and prepare to be boarded. Your crew will be processed for labor assignments. The colonists below will be relocated to serve the Empire's needs." "And if we refuse?" Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. "Then you will burn with your world," Vextar said simply. "The choice is yours, human. 1 hour." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Chen looked around at her crew. 43 men and women from a dozen different Earth nations. They were engineers, pilots, gunners, and scientists. Most had joined the space fleet to explore new worlds, not to fight impossible wars. "Orders, Captain?" asked Commander Torres, her second in command. The older man's face was grim, but his voice remained steady. Chen walked to the tactical display showing the enemy formation. Red dots filled the screen like a swarm of angry insects. Each dot represented death and destruction beyond anything humanity had ever faced. The Zephyrians had technology that could turn matter into energy, weapons that could pierce any known armor, and shields that had never been broken. "Sir," called Ensign Park from the sensor station, "I'm detecting massive energy readings from their fleet. Their weapons are charging." "How long until they're ready to fire?" Chen asked. "Based on our intelligence reports, maybe 40 minutes. Their main guns need time to build up power." Chen nodded. The evacuation ships carrying New Geneva's colonists had launched 12 hours ago. They needed at least 6 more hours to reach the hyperspace jump point and escape to safety. Even if the Defiance died here, those people would live. "All hands, this is the captain," Chen announced over the ship's communication system. "You all know our situation. We face an enemy that outnumbers us 10,000 to 1. They have better ships, better weapons, and better technology. By every logical measure, we should surrender or run. She paused, looking out at the stars through the bridge windows. Earth was somewhere out there, 40 light-years away. Home seemed very far from this cold void between alien suns. But we're not going to do that, she continued. Because we're human beings. We come from a world that tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. Our ancestors survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, plagues, and predators. They didn't survive by giving up when things looked impossible. They survived by fighting. The crew listened in silence. Chen could see determination replacing fear on their faces. The Zephyrians think they know everything about warfare, she said. They've fought the same kinds of battles for thousands of years. They expect us to follow their rules, use their tactics, fight their way. But we're not like them. We learned to fight on Earth where the rules were simple. Adapt or die. What are your orders, Captain? Torres asked. Chen smiled for the first time since the enemy fleet had arrived. It was not a pleasant expression. We're going to show these aliens what humans do when they're backed into a corner, she said. We're going to give them a lesson in Earth-style warfare, and we're going to make them pay for every second they threaten our people. The bridge crew moved to their stations with new purpose. Weapons officers began preparing the ship's nuclear missiles and kinetic cannons. Navigation plotted courses through the asteroid field that filled the outer system. Engineering started overriding safety protocols to push the ship's reactor beyond normal limits. On the main screen, the enemy fleet maintained its perfect formation. Beautiful, ordered, and utterly confident. They had never lost a battle. They had never faced serious resistance. They ruled the galaxy through the simple fact that no one could challenge their power. But they had never fought humans before. Chen watched the countdown timer on her command screen. 38 minutes until the Empire's weapons were ready to fire. 38 minutes to prepare for the most unequal battle in galactic history. All stations report ready, Captain, Torres announced. Then let's begin, Chen said quietly. Set course for the asteroid field, battle speed. And remember, everyone, we're not trying to win this fight. We're trying to survive it long enough to hurt them. Show them that humans don't go quietly into the dark. The UES Defiance turned away from the massive enemy fleet and accelerated toward the rocky debris that orbited the system's outer edge. Behind them, 10,000 alien warships began their slow, confident pursuit. They had all the time in the galaxy. They had no idea that time was about to run out. The Defiance raced through the asteroid field like a shark moving through coral reefs. Captain Chen had spent years studying the tactical reports from humanity's first contact with alien civilizations. Every species they had met fought the same way. Ships lined up in neat formations, traded energy blasts at long range, and the side with better shields and weapons won. It was civilized. It was predictable. It was nothing like how humans fought. Asteroid field in 30 seconds, reported Navigator Walsh. The first pursuit ships are entering weapons range. Chen studied the tactical display. 50 Zephyrian destroyers had broken from the main fleet to chase the Defiance. Each one was larger and more powerful than her ship, but they were following standard galactic combat doctrine. They maintained formation, kept proper distance from each other, and aimed their energy weapons with careful precision. All stop, Chen ordered. Turn us around. Face them head-on. Captain? Torres looked confused. They outnumber us 50-1, and we're backing into the asteroid field. Exactly, Chen smiled grimly. They expect us to keep running. They think we're afraid. Let's show them how wrong they are. The Defiance spun in space and faced the approaching enemy ships. The alien vessels were beautiful in their own way, with smooth curves and glowing energy cores. They moved like dancers, each one perfectly positioned relative to the others. Sir, they're charging weapons, Ensign Park reported. Energy signatures are off the charts. Good, Chen said. Weapons, target the lead ship with everything we have, but wait for my order. The enemy fleet drew closer. Chen could see their formation clearly now. Perfect spacing, textbook approach, completely predictable. The Zephyrians had been using these tactics for thousands of years because they worked. No one had ever given them a reason to change. 15,000 kilometers in closing, Park announced. They're within optimal firing range. Hold, Chen ordered. The alien ships came closer, 12,000 kilometers, 10,000. Their weapons began to glow as energy built up in their firing chambers. Soon they would unleash enough destructive force to vaporize a small moon. 8,000 kilometers, Park said nervously. Captain, they're about to fire. Now, Chen commanded. All weapons full spread, fire everything we have. The Defiance erupted in light and fury. Nuclear missiles streaked toward the enemy formation while kinetic cannons hurled chunks of metal at incredible speeds. Particle beams lanced out like spears of concentrated energy. It was not the careful, measured response the aliens expected. The lead Zephyrian destroyer took the full impact of the human barrage. Its shields flared and held for exactly 2 seconds before the nuclear warheads tore through them. The ship's hull cracked like an egg as kinetic rounds punched through its armor. Secondary explosions rippled along its length as critical systems failed. But Chen was not watching the enemy ship die. She was already giving her next orders. Emergency reverse thrust. Take us into the asteroids. Maximum speed. The Defiance shot backward into the rocky maze just as the Zephyrian fleet opened fire. 50 energy beams lit up the space where the human ship had been moments before. Instead of hitting their target, the aliens watched their weapons splash harmlessly against massive chunks of stone and metal. Damage report, Chen called out as the ship shook from near misses. Minor hull damage from debris, reported Chief Engineer Rodriguez. All systems operational, but Captain, we can't keep this up. Their weapons are too powerful. We don't need to trade shots with them, Chen replied. We need to make them fight our way, not theirs. The pursuing Zephyrian ships slowed as they reached the asteroid field. Their formation began to break up as captains tried to navigate around the floating rocks. The beautiful coordinated attack dissolved into confusion as ships lost sight of each other behind massive boulders. They're splitting up, Torres observed, trying to surround us. Perfect, Chen said. Weapons, prepare torpedo spread. Engineering, I need everything you can give me from the reactor. Safety limits are now suggestions. Captain, if we push the reactor past redline, we could lose containment, Rodriguez warned. If we don't push past redline, we'll definitely lose containment when they blow us up, Chen replied. Do it. The Defiance accelerated deeper into the asteroid field. Behind them, the Zephyrian ships gave chase, but they were having trouble. Their sensors were designed for open space combat, not for tracking targets through dense debris fields. Their weapons kept hitting asteroids instead of the elusive human ship. Contact bearing 27 Mark III, Park announced. Single destroyer trying to flank us. Chen saw the alien ship on her screen, moving carefully around a house-sized rock. Its captain was being cautious, probably confused by the human tactics. Zephyrians were used to honorable duels between ships, not this chaotic game of hide-and-seek. Helm. Hard port. Take us behind that big asteroid cluster, Chen ordered. Weapons, prepare for ambush attack. The Defiance disappeared behind a group of tumbling rocks. The Zephyrian destroyer cautiously followed, its energy weapons ready. When it came around the asteroid, it found nothing but empty space. Then the human ship dropped down from above like a hunting bird. The Defiance had been hiding in the shadow of a massive asteroid, using the rock to block enemy sensors. Now it fell on the alien destroyer with all weapons firing. The surprise attack lasted only seconds, but that was enough. Nuclear fire and kinetic rounds tore the enemy ship apart before its captain could even raise shields. 2 down, Chen announced, grimly. 48 to go. But the other Zephyrian ships were learning. They began moving more carefully, using their own sensors to sweep for the human vessel. Some started working in pairs, covering each other as they advanced through the asteroid field. They're adapting, Torres warned, getting smarter. Then, we need to get smarter too, Chen replied. She studied the tactical display, looking for weaknesses to exploit. The alien ships were powerful, but they were also rigid in their thinking. They followed protocols and procedures that had worked for millennia. Humans had learned to fight on a world where protocols and procedures got you killed. Ensign Park, scan those asteroids near Grid 77, Chen ordered. I'm looking for something specific. Yes, sir. I'm reading. Captain, there's a large nickel-iron asteroid there. Mass approximately 50,000 tons. Chen smiled. Perfect. Helm, plot a course to that asteroid. Engineering, prepare the mining charges from Storage Bay 3. Mining charges? Torres looked puzzled. Captain, those are for excavation work, not combat. Today they're combat charges, Chen replied. We're going to show these aliens that humans don't just think outside the box. Sometimes we blow up the box and use the pieces as weapons. The Defiance moved toward the large asteroid while Zephyrian ships closed in from 3 directions. Their formation was getting tighter, their coordination improving. Soon, they would have the human ship trapped with nowhere to run. They had no idea what Captain Chen was planning. Charges placed and armed, Rodriguez reported from engineering. But Captain, you're not seriously thinking of... I'm thinking of exactly that, Chen interrupted. Sometimes the best weapon is the one your enemy never sees coming, and I guarantee they've never seen this before. The trap was closing. Zephyrian. Destroyers approached from port, starboard, and stern. Their weapons were charged and ready. In minutes, they would have the Defiance surrounded and helpless. That was exactly what Chen wanted them to think. The mining charges detonated with perfect timing. The 50,000-ton asteroid exploded into a cloud of metal fragments moving at tremendous speed. The debris spread out like a deadly flower, catching 2 Zephyrian destroyers completely by surprise. Their energy shields, designed to stop coherent weapons fire, could not handle thousands of chunks of raw iron hitting them at once. Both alien ships died in seconds, their hulls shredded by the improvised shrapnel bomb. Direct hit on both targets, Park reported with excitement. Their shields couldn't handle that much mass. Captain Chen watched the destruction with satisfaction. That's the difference between us and them, she told her bridge crew. They think in terms of weapons and shields. We think in terms of physics and engineering. But there was no time to celebrate. The remaining Zephyrian ships were pulling back, regrouping outside the asteroid field. Chen could see them on her sensors, forming new battle lines. They were learning from their mistakes. Sir, we're receiving another transmission from the main fleet, Lieutenant Kim announced. Put it through, Chen ordered. Emperor Vextar appeared on the screen again, but this time his expression was different. The confident amusement was gone, replaced by cold anger. His golden eyes burned with fury. You fight like cowards, the Emperor snarled. Hiding behind rocks, using tricks and deception. Is this how humans wage war? This is how humans survive, Chen replied calmly. Your people have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years because everyone else fights the way you expect them to. We don't. You think your primitive tactics will save you? Vextar's voice dripped with contempt. You have destroyed 4 ships. I have 10,000. Your clever tricks cannot overcome such odds. Maybe not, Chen admitted. But we're going to try anyway. The Emperor leaned forward, his scaled features twisting with rage. You have one final chance, human. Surrender now, and I will make your death quick. Continue this foolishness, and I will ensure your entire species suffers for your defiance. Go to hell, Chen said simply, and cut the transmission. Torres whistled softly. Well, I guess we're committed now. We were committed the moment they threatened our colonists, Chen replied. She turned to her tactical officer. Status report on the main fleet? They're moving into attack formation, the officer replied. Looks like they're done playing games. The whole armada is advancing. Chen nodded grimly. She had bought some time and hurt the enemy. But the real battle was just beginning. 10,000 ships against 1. The math was still impossible. All hands, prepare for general combat, she announced over the ship's communication system. We've shown them that humans don't go down easy. Now we're going to show them something else. We're going to show them that even when we can't win, we can make the victory cost more than they're willing to pay. The Defiance moved deeper into the asteroid field as the Zephyrian armada approached. Chen had studied the tactical reports from Every major battle in galactic history, the Empire always fought the same way. Overwhelming force applied with surgical precision. They never had to worry about casualties because they always won quickly. Today was going to be different. Engineering, what's our status on that experimental AI protocol? Chen asked. Rodriguez looked up from his console with surprise. The quantum infiltration system? Captain, that's completely untested. The computer scientists said it might work. In theory, but... Theory is all we have right now, Chen interrupted. Can you make it work? Maybe, but if it fails, it could fry our entire computer system. We'd be dead in space. If we don't try something desperate, we'll be dead anyway, Chen pointed out. Do it. The Defiance shuddered as the main Zephyrian fleet entered weapons range. Energy beams began lancing through the asteroid field, turning ancient rocks into vapor and plasma. The aliens were no longer being careful or precise. They were angry and they wanted the human ship destroyed. Sir, I'm detecting something interesting, Park announced from his sensor station. The enemy ships are all networked together. Some kind of quantum communication system. They're sharing targeting data and battle coordination through instantaneous links. Chen felt a spark of hope. Can we tap into that network? The experimental AI might be able to do it, Rodriguez said slowly. But Captain, if we get caught in their system, they could trace us back and take control of our ship. Or, Chen said with a dangerous smile, we could trace forward and take control of theirs. The battle raged around them as the Defiance dodged, between asteroids trying to stay ahead of the massive enemy fleet. Zephyrian ships were everywhere now, hunting in coordinated groups. Their weapons lit up the darkness like deadly fireworks. Getting multiple target locks, the weapons officer reported. They're closing in from all sides. Perfect, Chen said. That means they're all connected to the same network. Engineering. Activate the AI protocol. Full infiltration. Activating now, Rodriguez announced. Quantum link established. The AI is attempting to penetrate their network. For several tense seconds, nothing happened. Then alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Contact established, Rodriguez reported excitedly. The AI is inside their communication system. It's mapping their network architecture. Can it cause damage? Chen asked. Better than that, Rodriguez grinned. It can cause chaos. The Zephyrian ships are so interconnected that if we corrupt their coordination protocols... Do it, Chen ordered. The AI virus spread through the enemy network like wildfire. It was designed by human programmers who understood something the Zephyrians had forgotten. Complex systems always had weak points. The more advanced and interconnected a network became, the more vulnerable it was to the right kind of attack. The results were immediate and spectacular. Zephyrian ships began firing on each other as their targeting systems malfunctioned. Navigation computers sent vessels crashing into asteroids. Communication arrays started broadcasting random noise instead of battle orders. Within minutes, the perfectly coordinated armada dissolved into confused chaos. It's working, Park shouted over the noise of nearby explosions. Their entire fleet is in disarray. Chen watched the tactical display with amazement. Hundreds of red dots were winking out as enemy ships destroyed each other or crashed into debris. The virus was spreading faster than the Zephyrians could contain. But she knew it wouldn't last long. The Empire had the best technicians in the galaxy. They would find a way to purge the virus and restore order. She had minutes, maybe less, before they regained control. Helm, plot a course for the main fleet, Chen ordered. Best possible speed. Captain? Torres looked shocked. We're heading straight for the flagship? That's right, Chen replied. While their systems are down, we're going to hit them where it hurts most. We're going to kill their emperor. The Defiance shot out of the asteroid field like a bullet from a gun, racing toward the heart of the enemy fleet. All around them, Zephyrian ships were struggling to regain control of their systems. Some were dead in space. Others spun helplessly with damaged navigation. A few were still fighting the virus, their crews working frantically to restore normal operations. Ahead of them loomed the Eternal Dominion, the massive flagship that carried Emperor Vextar. It was 20 miles long and carried enough firepower to destroy entire worlds. But right now, like the rest of the fleet, it was vulnerable. Distance to target? Chen asked. 50,000 kilometers and closing, Park reported. Sir, they're starting to regain control. I'm seeing system restorations throughout their fleet. Time to target? 3 minutes at current speed. Chen looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. They all knew this was a suicide run. The Defiance might be able to damage the flagship, but it could never survive the encounter. When the Emperor's ship died, they would die with it. Any objections? She asked quietly. The bridge crew looked back at her with determination. They had come this far together. They would finish it together. No, sir, Torres said for all of them. Let's go kill an Emperor. The Eternal Dominion grew larger on the main screen as the Defiance raced toward it. The massive flagship was a city-sized monument to Zephyrian power, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. Its hull gleamed with ceremonial gold and silver, marking it as the personal vessel of the Emperor himself. 30,000 kilometers, Park announced. Sir, they're getting their systems back online. I'm detecting weapon signatures charging. Captain Chen gripped her command chair as the ship shook from near misses. Enemy fire was getting more accurate as the Zephyrian crews regained control of their targeting systems. The virus had bought them precious time, but that time was running out. All power to forward shields, she ordered. Weapons, prepare everything for a single massive salvo. We're only going to get one shot at this. Captain, Chief Rodriguez called from engineering. The reactor is already running at 120%. If we push it any harder... Push it, Chen interrupted. Give me everything the ship has. Everything. The Defiance shuddered as its reactor climbed past every safety limit. Warning alarms screamed throughout the ship as systems strained beyond their design specifications. But the human vessel surged forward with new speed, closing the distance to the enemy flagship. 20,000 kilometers, Park reported. They're targeting us with main batteries. The space around the Defiance erupted in deadly light as the Eternal Dominion opened fire. Energy beams thick as buildings lanced out from the massive ship, each one carrying enough power to vaporize a mountain. The human ship's shields flared and sparked as they absorbed the tremendous punishment. Forward shields down to 60%, Torres reported. We can't take much more of this. We don't need to, Chen replied grimly. 15 seconds to optimal firing range. All weapons, prepare to fire on my mark. The Eternal Dominion filled their entire view now, its massive hull stretching away in all directions. Chen could see weapon ports opening like hungry mouths, preparing to devour the tiny human ship. But she could also see something else, a weak point that human engineers would never have missed. The flagship's reactor core was positioned in the center of the ship, protected by layers of armor and shields. But it was also connected to the main weapon systems by massive power conduits. Those conduits had to pass through the outer hull to reach the forward gun batteries. Target the power. Junction at grid reference 77 Alpha, Chen ordered. All weapons maximum yield. Captain, that's not a critical system, the weapons officer protested. We should target the bridge or the reactor. Trust me, Chen said. Fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. The Defiance unleashed everything. It had in one devastating barrage. Nuclear missiles streaked toward the flagship while kinetic cannons hurled depleted uranium rounds at incredible velocity. Particle beams and plasma bolts followed, all aimed at the same small section of the enemy ship's hull. The attack seemed pitiful against such a massive target. The missiles exploded harmlessly against the flagship's shields. The kinetic rounds bounced off armor plating. The energy weapons barely scorched the hull. But Chen was not trying to destroy the ship. She was trying to damage one specific component. The power junction that fed the forward weapons erupted in sparks and flame as the concentrated attack overloaded its systems. For a few crucial seconds, the Eternal Dominion's main guns went silent, as power was rerouted through backup systems. Now, Chen commanded. Ramming speed. Take us straight at their reactor section. Captain, no, Torres protested. If we ram them, we'll be destroyed too. The escape pods, Chen said quickly. Get the crew to the escape pods. Emergency evacuation now. The bridge crew stared at her in shock. They had known this was a dangerous mission, but they had not expected their captain to order them to abandon ship. "That's an order," Chen said firmly. "Everyone except essential personnel, get to the pods. You have 2 minutes?" "I'm staying," Torres announced. Several other officers nodded agreement. "So am I," added Rodriguez from engineering. "Someone needs to keep the reactor stable for the ram." Chen felt a surge of pride in her crew. They were willing to die with her, even when she gave them a chance to live, but she could not let them throw their lives away. "The colonists need witnesses," she said gently. "People who can tell Earth what happened here. Go. That's my final order." Reluctantly, most of the crew began moving toward the escape pod bays. Only a handful remained on the bridge, volunteers who refused to leave their captain. Chen accepted their decision. They were all adults, all warriors. They had the right to choose their own deaths. 10 seconds to impact, Park announced calmly, the owl. Eternal Dominion tried desperately to bring its weapons to bear on the approaching human ship. But the power junction damage had disrupted their targeting systems. Energy beams fired wildly, missing the Defiance by hundreds of meters. 5 seconds, Park said. Chen looked around at the faces of her remaining crew. They were afraid, but they were not broken. Even facing certain death, they stood at their posts like the warriors they had always been. "It's been an honor serving with all of you," she said quietly. "The honor was ours, Captain," Torres replied. The Defiance struck the Eternal Dominions, reactor section at full speed. The impact was tremendous. The human ship's hull crumpled like paper as it punched through the flagship's armor. But the Defiance's reinforced nose section, designed to survive asteroid impacts, kept driving forward into the heart of the enemy vessel. When the human ship's reactor finally breached, it released all its energy in one brilliant flash. The explosion tore through the flagship's reactor chamber, triggering a cascade failure that spread throughout the massive ship. The Eternal Dominion, pride of the Zephyrian fleet and symbol of the Empire's invincibility, broke apart in a chain reaction of secondary explosions. The death of the flagship lit up the battlefield like a second sun, visible across the entire star system. Emperor Vextar died with his ship, along with 50,000 of the Empire's finest warriors. But the explosion did more than destroy the flagship. The blast wave caught dozens of nearby vessels, damaging their hulls and disrupting their formation. Ships that had been rushing to defend their emperor found themselves scattered and confused. In the escape pods, the surviving crew of the Defiance watched their ship die in a blaze of glory. They had done the impossible. A single human vessel had destroyed the greatest warship in galactic history. "Sir," one of the junior officers whispered to Commander Torres, "what happens now?" Torres watched the expanding fireball that had been their ship and their captain. Around them, the Zephyrian fleet was in chaos. Some ships were trying to restore order. Others were fleeing in panic. The death of their emperor had shattered their confidence and broken their formation. "Now," Torres said quietly, "we go home, and we tell everyone what Captain Chen and the Defiance accomplished here. We tell them that one human ship faced 10,000 aliens and made them pay the ultimate price for threatening our people." The escape pods activated their emergency beacons and began broadcasting distress signals. Within hours, human rescue ships would arrive to collect them. They would return to Earth as the only survivors of the most unlikely victory in military history. But their story was just beginning. Word of the battle would spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every enslaved species, every conquered world, every civilization that had bowed before Zephyrian might would learn the truth. The Empire could be defeated. The invincible could be destroyed. And humans, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, would never surrender. The age of Zephyrian dominance was ending. The age of human defiance had begun. The news traveled faster than light itself. Within days, every inhabited world in the galaxy had heard the impossible story. The Zephyrian Grand Armada, undefeated for 3,000 years, had been broken by a single human ship. Emperor Vextar, ruler of 800 star systems, was dead. The Eternal Dominion, symbol of imperial power, was now scattered debris floating in space. Commander Torres stood before the Earth Defense Council, still wearing his scorched uniform from the escape pod. His face was gaunt from the long journey home, but his voice was strong as he delivered his report. Captain Sarah Chen gave her life to prove a point, he said to the assembled leaders. She showed the galaxy that humans don't back down from a fight, no matter how hopeless it seems. The Defiance was outnumbered 10,000 to 1, but we took their best shot and gave it back to them with interest. Admiral Harrison, head of Earth Space Fleet, leaned forward in his chair. What's the current status of the Zephyrian forces? In complete disarray, Torres replied. After the Emperor's death, the remaining fleet commanders couldn't agree on who should take command. Half the ships returned to Zephyrian space to fight over succession. The other half are scattered across a dozen systems trying to maintain control of their territories. And the other alien species? Asked President Chen, no relation to the fallen captain. Torres smiled for the first time since the battle. That's the best part. The Arconian Republic declared independence 3 days ago. The Centauri Collective has stopped paying tribute to the Empire. Even the Vegan Trade Union is refusing to honor their resource agreements. Word of our victory has spread, and every enslaved species is starting to believe they can fight back. The council chamber erupted in excited whispers. For 2 centuries, humanity had been the newest member of galactic civilization, always looking up at older and more powerful species. Now they had become something unexpected. Liberators. What are our next steps? Admiral Harrison asked. Torres straightened to attention. With respect, sir, I think we need to be very careful. We've hurt the Empire badly, but they're not finished. They still have thousands of ships and hundreds of worlds. If we push too hard too fast, they might unite against us. President Chen nodded thoughtfully. What do you recommend? We help the species that are rebelling, Torres said. Provide them with weapons, training, and tactical support. But we do it quietly. Let them think they're winning their own freedom. The last thing we want is for the galaxy to see us as the new conquerors. 6 months later, Commander Torres found himself aboard the UES Liberation, humanity's newest heavy cruiser. He wore captain's bars now, promoted after his heroic service at New Geneva. His ship was part of a small fleet carrying supplies to the Arconian Republic, which was still fighting for independence from Zephyrian rule. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Arconian flagship, reported his communications officer. Put it through, Torres ordered. The image that appeared on the main screen showed a tall, graceful alien with silver skin and large black eyes. Admiral Saren of the Arconian Republic had become a symbol of resistance across the galaxy. Her people had been enslaved for 800 years, but they were fighting with the desperation of the truly free. Captain Torres, Admiral Saren said in accented English, your supply convoy is most welcome. Our forces have been able to push the Zephyrians out of 3 more star systems, thanks to the weapons your people provided. We're glad to help, Torres replied. How goes the war? Saren's expression grew serious. Better than we dared hope. The Zephyrians are fighting on 17 different fronts now. They cannot concentrate their forces anywhere. But we have learned disturbing news from our intelligence networks. What kind of news? The Empire is building a new fleet, Saren explained. Larger than the Grand Armada. They call it the Revenge Fleet. Intelligence suggests they plan to use it against Earth itself. Torres felt a chill run down his spine. He had always known this moment would come. The Zephyrians could not allow humanity's victory to stand unpunished. They would have to respond or risk losing face with every species in the galaxy. How long do we have? He asked. Perhaps 1 year, Saren replied. Maybe less. The Empire is pulling ships from every frontier garrison to build this new armada. They are abandoning territory to focus on destroying your homeworld. Torres nodded, grimly. Then we need to move faster. Admiral Saren, how many species have joined the rebellion? 47 at last count, she answered. But most are still fighting local battles. They are not ready for a coordinated campaign. They need to be, Torres said firmly. Because in 1 year, the Empire is going to throw everything they have at Earth. If humanity falls, every rebellion in the galaxy will collapse with us. The next months passed in a blur of activity. Human advisors worked with rebel forces across the galaxy, teaching them the lessons learned at New Geneva: hit-and-run tactics, improvised weapons, asymmetric warfare, all the skills humans had learned on their violent homeworld. The rebellion grew stronger and bolder. Zephyrian supply lines were constantly under attack. Garrison forces found themselves surrounded and isolated. The Empire's iron grip on the galaxy began to slip as more and more species joined the fight. But time was running out. Long-range scouts reported massive ship movements in Zephyrian space. The Revenge Fleet was taking shape. 15,000 vessels, all dedicated to one purpose: the complete destruction of humanity. Captain Torres stood on the bridge of the Liberation as the human fleet gathered at Earth. 200 ships, the largest force humanity had ever assembled. It seemed impressive until he remembered they would be facing odds of 75 to 1. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Harrison," his communications officer reported. The image of Earth's Supreme Commander appeared on the main screen. The old warrior looked tired but determined. "All ships, this is Admiral Harrison," he announced. "Long-range sensors have detected the Zephyrian Revenge Fleet entering our outer system. They will be in weapons range in 6 hours. Torres felt his stomach tighten. This was it, the final test of human resolve. "I want you all to remember something," the Admiral continued. 1 year ago, Captain Sarah Chen and the crew of the Defiance faced impossible odds and won. They showed the galaxy that humans don't know how to quit. Today we face those same odds again. Today, we show them that we learned the lesson." The transmission ended, leaving the fleet in silence. Torres looked around his bridge at faces both determined and afraid. They all knew the stories of the Defiance. They all understood what they were being asked to do. "All hands, this is the captain," Torres announced over the ship's communication system. "In a few hours, we're going to face the largest fleet in galactic history. The Zephyrians want revenge for their emperor's death. They want to make an example of humanity that will terrify every species in the galaxy." He paused, looking out at the stars that had become humanity's new frontier. "But here's what they don't understand," he continued. "We're not the same species that first met them 2 years ago. We've been tested by fire and emerged stronger. We've learned that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when you are afraid." The human fleet began moving into formation as the Zephyrian armada approached. The odds were still impossible. The enemy still had superior technology and overwhelming numbers. But something had changed in the galaxy. The age of unquestioned Zephyrian dominance was over. The age of human determination had begun. And when the history of this war was written, scholars would mark this moment as the turning point. The day when a species from a small blue world proved that freedom was worth any price, and that no empire, no matter how powerful, could stand against the combined will of those who refused to kneel. The final battle was about to begin.